I'm 25 stone at 20 years old. I'm force feeding eating 10,000 calories a day. I've gone from playing professional rugby league, being very fit, to then walking up a hill and being out of breath. And I'm 20 years old. This stuff makes me feel alive, and I truly believe if you're not living, you're dying. We're dying every second of the day. I know it sounds very dramatic, but we are, aren't we? Like, I know how I felt when I stopped playing rugby and what that did to me, and how I kept putting things off that I knew I should have been doing all along. To understand that if I don't do these things, these little simple things, like you've got 24 hours in a day, if I don't do a simple thing 1 hour out of my day, then it's going to eventually create a knock-on effect and create a new habit, which is to not get stuff done. 1 minute is in the gym squatting and somewhat of a healthy individual, let's say that, to then being pulled to one side in a room saying he doesn't know if he's going to make it. You know what I mean? It's almost like it made me reflect back on my life and be like,
so on this week's episode of Disciples of Truth, we have a very exciting guest on. He's an ex-rugby player. He's a professional boxer to this day and still going. Still on an exciting path, really. And a bodybuilder.
powerlifter, bodybuilder. You can
Powerlifter.
Hero.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Where did your journey start? Because I know we've spoke off air about this. You intuitively you were from a background that wasn't religious, but you found yourself in religion.
Yeah,
and how did that come about?
Yeah, so I believe it were a calling for me. I don't believe it was something that was pushed on me through the influence of people or things, if you will. But for me, it was just a calling. I felt it within me to sort of go to church. At 16 years old, again, it's one of those things when you're not from a religious family. I think people, they don't really see it as being an authentic thing, like you're trying to sort of pretend to be someone you're not or whatever. But for me, it really was a calling, and God's not within church, is within us, and that I think that's what it was for me. I think it was just a calling to go and just delve into what it's all about through at least my perspective of how I understand it and how I've learned to understand it over the years of growing my connection with God.
So what was that like initial curiosity with it? Where did it stem from?
I think
because at 16, most kids
going
past
16
church.
16-year-olds now, and that it's the whole vaping and all that sort of crap. But for me, I was a driven individual from like 14 years old. I went into play scholarship rugby league at 14 years old. I started the gym around 13, 14 years old. I always wanted more for myself with pushing myself, pushing the boundaries, with at least the physical. I've always been that way out until around 16, where I started to discover like an inner calling for me to want to search for just more things away from the physical of sports and things like that. Like I say, it wasn't an influential thing from other people. It was just a calling. I can't really explain it, but I went into church and it felt natural. It felt normal. The slight uncomfortability were there because of obviously the conditioning and stuff like that. Like it almost, if you're going on stereotypes here, white guy,
Glasses.
Yorkshire, bloody, you know what I'm trying to say, like going into church and stuff, it did feel a slight bit of uncomfortability there for me, but other than that, like I from a young age, I always understood that, like, do what feels right for you, regardless of what anyone says and their opinions. Do what's right for you. So
What did all your friends make of it?
To be honest with you, I didn't really tell all my mates, but I've always felt like I've been without saying egotistically, I've always felt like I've been a few steps ahead with my maturity at a young age, compared to them. But again, that's not being egotistical. That's just what I felt at the time, and I always felt like I had a good understanding of what I wanted for myself, regardless of what other people felt, their opinions and stuff.
Yeah, I've got a friend very much the same. He's like, he's not swayed by crowds. He just does him, and he's a rugby player. So.
Yeah. Maybe
So there's something there. He must have knocked some sense
maybe the
into
knocks. Yeah, maybe the knocks and stuff like that do something to you.
So what kind of insights did you get through going to church, or did you find that it were having a big impact on your life?
I think for me, right off the bat, it was understanding that there is something outside of ourselves, and you can't always put things in your own hands and take control of your life as a whole, as an individual yourself. Sometimes it is things. It made me understand that things are out your control, and you can't put it all on God, but God is very influential in your life, and you've got to be grateful and you've got to be thankful, and that's something I'm still learning to do each and every day, is be grateful and thankful for everything that God's given me, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's hard to take what's actually shaping you, because it is feeling like suffering, because it is shedding off the old as well, but when you're in the middle of it, you're asking why me. We just spoke off air about it. You don't, because it's all that victim mentality of you don't see what it's actually leading you towards, because it's not the route that you envisioned.
Yeah.
But I think when we can't envision it, that's when life's surprises are the best.
Yeah.
But so how did it go with your rugby career then? When did that end?
Well, I started playing at 14, scholarship for Featherstone Rovers, and then I got my first rugby contract, like a paid contract, at 16. I played at Castleford Tigers, and I did about 2.5 years there. Did 2.5 years there, and long story short, I just fell out of love with the game. I felt like I had more of a calling at the time, to pursue something that gave me more of a purpose and meaning internally for me. And I just stopped because I fell out of love with it, to be honest with you, mate. It just wasn't for me anymore. I felt like I always had that voice at the back of my head where I said, like boxing's something you need to sort of delve back into and have a go at and stuff like that. So after rugby, a little bit of a dark spot in my life, if you will, but a spot now looking back that really did me well. You can say the word depression. I mean, looking back, it probably was. But I was force feeding, I was overeating, I was actively powerlifting and stuff like that. So I think overeating and eating 10,000 calories a day is going to make anyone feel down in the dumps, because your body's not going to function on that amount of food, and especially when you're not moving often with that sort of amount of calories in you.
Yeah.
So I was training once a day and stuff like that, but I wasn't moving enough in between it. But even if you are moving enough, 10,000 calories is a ridiculous amount of food. So mentally, it's going to mess anyone up. And then the morning of just generally stopping playing rugby as well. Like I was just mourning, and I was sad about it and stuff, because it's all I lived for. From a young age, my dad coached me playing rugby from 6-year-old. So it's all I knew, and it's probably something I thought I'd do for the rest of my life in terms of like a career and job and earning money and stuff. But the reality is, it just didn't work out. So I was kind of stuck then in the world, and I had a difficult time dealing with it, to be honest with you.
How did your dad take that then?
Well, he was always in support of me, my dad, throughout my career and stuff. And he, like I say, he coached me as an amateur, and then he coached me, helped me within my scholarship as well at times. He's always been there for me, my dad, and stuff, with my rugby and that. And then he knew, so obviously your dad knows you, don't he? He's going to know you, innit? So he knew when I fell out of love with it, and I think he sort of battled it a little bit to start with. Like he tried to knock it into me as if to say, like, come on, you've done this your entire life, like, let's dig in. But then the reality is that, the dust settled, and I did try to do that, but I just fell out of love with the game. And I think it shows, like with anything you do in life, not even just sport. Like if you don't love something, you're gonna get found out. I knew I'd only get so far with that amount of passion for the game. It's a rough game, especially when you're climbing the levels and stuff. So I just knew it was time for me to pack it in. You know what I mean?
I would take my son to martial arts, and he loved it at the start.
Yeah.
But then you could see it, the body language, like the drop shot.
Exactly.
Like once you get there, and the missus, like, because I wanted to encourage him to Like he chose to go himself, but I
Yeah.
wanted like maybe what your dad were doing is just seeing if you can bite
Yeah,
out. It
yeah,
might be a
yeah,
bit of
yeah.
a rough patch,
Yeah.
and then she was like, no, he really don't look like he's enjoying it. And we asked
Yeah.
him, and he went, yeah, I don't,
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it
Yeah.
anymore. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, we're not gonna make you,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
like he started football now, and if it says we're going into a new season, but if we were gonna get halfway through a season and go, I don't want to do it anymore, I'd say just see out until the rest of the
Yeah.
season and then quit. Like
Yeah.
it's not quitting, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's accepting that it's not what you want to do.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it is nice to
Yeah.
let the dust settle and
Yeah.
not be so impulsive to go have a couple of bad games and go, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing in it. Like, anyone can like quit, like based on like if they've had like a bad performance or like a bad quote unquote season or whatever. But you've got like once you like when you've been through life a little bit more, you realise that like the good and bad times are just part of life, and so like you can't really make rash decisions based on the fact that you've performed bad or done something bad in life that you won't perform to your best ability, whether that be a mother, a dad, or whatever. Like you can't just give up. Like you've got to see things through sometimes. So yeah, just don't make rash decisions. Like see things through. I think that's the one thing that can sometimes have you turn your life around as well, is seeing things through. Because at the time it might feel like, oh, this isn't for me or whatever. You see things through and then you sort of cross the other side. So it's one of them. But when you've actually like tried to pursue it and tried to carry on and tried to fight back the love for the game and all the best and tried to bring out a different character in you that you did have when you did love the game, then yeah.
It's funny that you say that because just a conversation that we had on way over, you said lower on about gratitude, and I said I've tried to, and you went trying means that you're forcing. Like,
Well, yeah,
and
that's
that's what
the one
you
thing I've
did. What you
realised.
kept
Yeah,
on
like,
saying. Then you were like,
gratitude is like it's a funny thing in it because like there's all these like self-help bloody videos and all these things, which again I think it's more positive than negative, but gratitude has to be authentic, doesn't it? Like you've got to be thankful, like legitimately. Like you've got to, and don't get me wrong, like if it's not ingrained within you, you've got to somewhat like snap that conditioning in you to be a grateful individual, and maybe you have to go through that stage of it being a little bit like forceful
yeah,
until it becomes like autopilot mode almost. But you are who you are until you change your paradigm, I suppose. It just takes time, you know what I mean? I think it just takes time.
it just,
I'm still doing it myself now. I wake up in the morning, it's pissing it down outside with rain, and I'm just like, ugh. But it's like, what's a bit of rain?
that's
You know
what.
what I mean? What's a
Yeah,
bit of rain in all the world's good and bad? You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, that's what I want to ask you as well because like I do working out. It's not as much as what you do. Do the kettlebell workout, shred fast. And there's days that you don't want to do that, but you repeatedly have to do it. So,
100%, yeah.
like, how do you get that mental discipline to get to the point of pulling yourself to do it every day? What is it that? What is that initial power or mindset or the intention of like? How do you pull yourself round from every bit of your flesh not wanting to do that workout?
Well, for starters, this stuff makes me feel alive, and
Yeah.
I truly believe if you're not living, you're dying. We're dying every second of the day. I know it sounds very dramatic, but we are, aren't we? Like, so like for me, that stuff makes me feel alive, and not doing those things is going to be more negative than it is positive. If I was to do those things, so it's a simple, just a mindset shift where it's just a bit like I know how I felt when I stopped playing rugby and what that did to me, and how I kept putting things off that I knew I should have been doing all along. To understand that if I don't do these things, these little simple things, like you've got 24 hours in a day, if I don't do a simple thing 1 hour out of my day, then it's going to eventually create a knock-on effect and create a new habit, which is to not get stuff done
Yeah.
that I know I need to get done. So if I can create a new habit of 1 hour out of my day of the hours that we've got left in the day, it's just going to create a knock-on effect, just a boo, boo, boo,
Yeah.
domino effect in it.
Yeah, definitely. So when you'd left rugby as well, because I found it quite interesting, did you lose 10 stone as well?
When I
put 10 stone on after the
Yeah, so
rugby.
I stopped playing rugby at like 19, and then I put it on when I was 20 years old, I had like a 340 kilo squat,
Yeah.
and I was like 25 stone. I believe 24 stone, something like that. And I think I've came from, I think 9, 10 stone, yeah, 9, 10 stone of body weight I put on within less than 2 years.
Wow.
Just scary amount of weight. So um, it was weird because when I started to put the weight on to begin with, it kind of, I mean, obviously stopping physical sports, like you're going to put that little bit of weight on straight away because the decrease in activity.
Yeah.
So I put the weight on, but then it sort of like plateaued a little bit. And then I sort of broke through that plateau point where then my weight just went through the roof. Because from 6 year old, I've always done physical like, sports, if you will.
Yeah.
Very, very active. So then I went cold turkey almost, just lifting weights and hardly doing anything else meant that my weight
Yeah. Because I
skyrocketed
seen
through
the
the roof.
photo and all like, I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
didn't recognise you.
It's
But when you got to that point, because I sound pathetic now. I did a parasite cleanser December, and I was getting in a good workout routine.
Yeah.
I'd gone up through kettlebells and I was finding some real movement. I thought I need to do a parasite cleanse. Did that, and then when I went to refeed after it, I just ate shit. Like uncontrollably
Yeah.
ate shit,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't lift. I had to knock right back down to eights, and
Yeah.
I felt depleted.
What, that's after you dieted?
Yeah, after I did the cleanse, but it's because I refed with alt sugars, and
See,
I absolutely fucking, like, I just absolutely did myself in.
yeah,
So when that point came of starting from, I'm on about like me, I had to start from like 8 kg kettlebells from 18s,
yeah.
and then I'm looking at your story of you were 10 stone overweight.
Yeah.
How did you get in that mindset to go, I'm going to turn this round? Because I found it so hard to get. They say like discipline, for me, it's getting that cog working again. Because your own words being broken to yourself, and you trying to gain that trust that you're going to
Yeah.
do the little things, and
Yeah.
when it's not. And I think for me, I was focusing, and I have only just noticed this recently. I count my losses more than I do my wins on a day-to-day basis. Whether it's I've chose the right meal to eat, I ain't counting the good. I'm counting every time I do something bad. So I found it hard, and I was just wondering how your mindset worked when you got to that. Maybe your lowest point in physical health, and you went, no, I'm going to turn this round.
For me, it's a very strange one. Like I was talking about at the start of this pod, it was like a calling for me. I did feel it, and I know for many months before I actually made the call to do it, that it was bugging at me, but I couldn't pull the trigger. And I think it goes deep within like just your own brain sometimes to say, right, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Because how many times do you see people like saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to start my diet and this, and they just can't pull the trigger until they do. And it's like for me, one morning I just woke up and I pulled the trigger, and that's because, again, it's probably God's time and it's the right time. And it was something that, like I say, were bugging me over the months before. Something that I knew I needed to get done. Eating 10,000 calories a day and being 24 stone at 20 years old. Like I know where that was taking me, so I know I needed to pivot at some point anyway.
Yeah.
So it was actually in my dad's situation in hospital. He was in ICU in hospital because he got sepsis, and my dad was a gym goer himself, and he's competing in powerlifting. We actually did a powerlifting competition together.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was the one who sort of like got me into the gym, if you will, and taught me everything I knew with weightlifting and all the rest of it. Coached me playing rugby, so we have like a good like connection and dynamic and stuff like that. So it was him in being in hospital, seeing what he did to my family and all the rest of it, being pulled to a private room in the ICU unit, and saying he don't know if he's going to make it. And it were very dramatic because I remember the feeling it gave me, like it was like a bit of like an out of body experience, and I think my family can back me up on saying that it's probably what it felt like for themselves as well. It were a bit strange because 1 minute he's in the gym squatting and somewhat of a healthy individual, let's say that,
Yeah.
to then being pulled to one side in a room saying he didn't know if he's going to make it. You know what I mean? It's almost like it made me reflect back on my life and be like, well, I'm 25 stone at 20 years old. I'm force feeding eating 10,000 calories a day. I've gone from playing professional rugby league, being very fit, to then walking up a hill and being out of breath. And I'm 20 years old. You know, it's an awakening for me.
Yeah.
So that's exactly why I realise enough's enough. I need to lose the weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you see, I think once you're consciously aware of stuff as well, and you see that ripple effect that it has throughout the family and what it does to you, and you
Yeah.
don't want anyone else to feel like that.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel that compassion, like we spoke
Yeah.
about earlier. It's like you just, if it's within your power and your grasp to make a different change, it's like my old man. Like I was saying earlier, I see myself as a problem solver, and my dad, I get that trait from him.
Mm.
But he's spent his life, he's done well in his field.
Yeah.
He was a director, a cladding firm. But I've been looking over the last few years of, he's just retired and the stress that it brought, and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Yes, he's done great, and he should be proud of his achievements. But when you can reflect and go, there's something better for me there's somewhere else, like my piece of the jigsaw, them traits that I've got can fit into a different jigsaw.
100%.
And it's finding that. I think anyone that's listening to this is, if you've got your traits from your parents and you know that you can be used to something where you find the joy in life.
You got to break the generational curse, ain't you? That's what it all comes
Currently
down to.
doing it, mate. And it's hard because no one.
You're always going to be misunderstood. You are always going to be misunderstood because, again, like, all your family's got your conditioning, your genetics, and all the rest of it. And there's some, one person comes along, and how it can be perceived from other people is, who does he think he is, or whatever? Why is he doing that? Why does he think he's special?
The
or
righteous
whatever?
one.
And the righteous one, like, ooh, God.
I got that a lot.
But it's not even that. It's just like you're trying to break the generational curse. You've got one chance at it, and do you know what it is? We might not do it, but at least we can say when his time's up, we tried to do it. I'd like to think I can do it, but it's all this is all set in stone already, in my opinion. We can give it a good crack, but what's the good in accepting?
Just rolling over.
Yeah, just rolling over. You know what I mean?
That's where I'm at, and I think it comes with the responsibility, a lot of painful, like just the relativity of it. What's happening now is like there's a lot of hard decisions that we've had to make as a family that on the outside look like we're being cold-hearted, and we're not.
Yeah.
And it's hurt us on a big level. We've had to lose out on certain stuff. Don't want to go into too many details. Yeah. And I guess the listeners will, hopefully, it might reflect back in there on. You've got to do what's right for you, and you've got to do what's right for your family. And I was trying to explain is, the family that you build is more important than the family you came from, and that hurts people. And it's not that I don't love them. But you've got to make the choices right, where you go, this stops now. Yeah. And there's a new way to go with it. And
100%.
You can only start laying the seeds down for your young to then look at us and then go, they might, our children later down the line, I know you've not had them yet, but the later down the line, they look at us and go, yeah, he did great things, but I can do it a bit better.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to pass on is.
And I think that's where, like, parents, like, maybe get the wrong end of the stick, because they might see that and think, like you just said, they might think, oh, we can do it better. But then because parents have this position sometimes where it's like you are sort of like dictating somewhat, you're bringing the child up, right? So like you're giving them a brain to think for themselves, they've been given a brain to think for themselves and all the rest of it. And I think a lot of parents have a hard time once the children grow up and all the rest of it, when they start thinking for themselves, using their own faculties and all the rest of it, they're going against the grain, aren't they? They're going against what you told them were right from a young age and all the rest of it. And I just think that's where I think, unfortunately, a lot of people can fall out with their family and the parents and things like that. But if it's understood right, you understand that like they do the same. They do the same if their mum, brought them up a certain way and they say, oh, I can do it better. It's evolving in it as an individual, and just seeing the world changing in the present time as well, because the world's changing. The world's different to, like, I don't know, the 80s when your mums and dads were around and stuff, so it is constantly changing. around you and as an individual.
Yeah, and the other thing, what I tie into you going to church, and I have been christened from a young age. Not that I've ever practiced going to church, but
Yeah,
there is a tool in this arsenal that we can use. Is when them disagreements are happening, and you know that you're speaking your truth, and you're not doing it from a malicious place. You're doing it from the heart. All you can do is pray. You can pray
right.
for their spirit guides, their guardian angels, or whatever you may ask the universe to drop in and ask them to give
Yeah,
them the self-reflection thoughts of how we can work through it
yeah,
for the greater good. And it might not be might not be in an outcome that we foresee either. But that's the beauty of it. It
100%.
catches you off guard, and maybe
100%.
they come back and we learn something ourselves.
Yeah,
And I think it's interesting as well that we were talking about that, because I was sat outside with fire last night, and I got it drop in, and how we're talking about this now with as parents. It got me to. I haven't done it yet, but I will be doing it in the next couple of days. It got me to write some questions out for my son, because if we see our parents and they're a reflection, and they're our teachers,
yeah,
and vice versa, I thought to ask my son a couple of questions of where he sees, like, where am I showing up?
yeah,
What's the best time that
yeah.
mine and his relationship? What does he love the most? And the awkward answer of what is it that I do that really scares him, or might
Yeah,
like doing
yeah,
that he doesn't agree with, because they're initially going to tell you where you're doing
100%.
wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But you've got to be willingness to have the humility that you are.
yeah.
We're not all this perfect,
No,
and that
no,
there is places, rooms to grow, and it's not just because the 6-year-old or whatever age your children are that they don't see you, because they are just mirrors.
100%.
So I thought it was quite
It's
interesting.
the saying, isn't it? Children. Obviously, you've got kids, I ain't got kids, but children, they don't do what you tell them to do. They do what you see you doing. You know what I'm trying to say? They
Yeah,
do what
yeah.
they see you doing. The reflection, 100%.
With no filter.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's true, isn't it? Yeah, that you give them like a. It's so true that like you give them like you make them a bit of food. You give them a tray of chips. They go, them chips were disgusting. Thank you.
The funniest things, and when I've been going against myself and doing some things that I shouldn't, like if I've been eating a bad food, because he pulls me up all the time, it's like, well, you said that's a really bad food, and I'm like,
Yeah, because they know, innit? Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
like, yeah, sound, you've got me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
Oh man, that's so true. That's so true.
So when were your first initial part of like boxing? Did you box at school, or did you box at?
Um, did I box at school? I
Yeah.
had plenty of fights at school. I don't think I boxed at
So you got some untrained training.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah, a bit naughty, but yeah, I boxed as an amateur. So I was 14 years old. I had I won the schoolboy ABAs, and quite stop and started. But then I had a good little stint of having my bouts, and yeah, like I say, I won the schoolboy ABAs. And then that's when I chose rugby instead of boxing. I chose rugby instead of boxing simply because, like we were talking about here, like how the world is and all the rest of it. Now I chose, money over the passion, I think.
Yeah.
And you listen to the people around you and things like that. I mean, looking back, probably wasn't the right decision, but I don't live with regrets. There's plenty of lessons that I've learned from making that decision and all the rest of it. It's the butterfly effect, and it took me a different path completely. So went on to play rugby then, and when I stopped playing rugby, well, I were always doing boxing alongside it and stuff, just for training and stuff while I was playing rugby. So I was doing bits and bats of like, boxing to keep me fit and that. And then when I stopped rugby at like 19, 20 then, I think 19, I delved back into it after the powerlifting were done. I went through a madness with the powerlifting and then lost a load of weight, and then I went back into it. I had a few off license fights, and then turned professional.
Yeah.
Turned professional then. Thought to myself, I've come from a professional sport in the past with rugby, been through many life's experiences and stuff like that. I feel like I know what it takes, or I've at least got what it takes to put enough discipline in, the time and all the rest of it to give it a good crack, really, as a professional. So that's how it.
How much would you say boxing's had an effect on your like internal discipline?
Internal discipline, boxing. Well, to be honest with you, boxing it's a whole different discipline. I think. I mean, for example, you hear people sort of like within like I don't know the fitness industry within bodybuilding, and they'll say they're doing cardio whilst they're dieting. So dieting whilst you're a bodybuilder, and doing cardio is one thing. So you imagine you're doing 30 minutes on a stairmaster and you're dieting or you're depleted, whatever you want to say, you're low on calories, compared to dieting as a boxer, and being depleted, and then having to spar for a fight. It's completely different gravy. So it's like the best way of describing a bodybuilding type cardio stairmaster is it's predictable cardio. There's no challenges with it aside from your heart rate and the mental dialogue to just get through the 30 45 minutes. With boxing, it's the exact same, except it's unpredictable cardio because you don't know what the opponent's going to be throwing at you and all the rest of it. So it's just so much more challenging and so much more demand on the body because especially when you've got low calories and all the rest of it as well, there's a lot more injuries that can happen with it and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
which again is a mental battle. So when you can sort of overcome that, it creates a new sort of armor in your brain almost
Yeah.
to create a new level of discipline that I think can only be created from doing very hard things like that.
Yeah, like over and over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like,
Yeah.
so do you, as well, when you boxing in a competitive match or whether it be sparring, do you feel like you enter like a flow state? Sometimes it feels like it's not you, or do you feel
Yeah.
like you? Because I heard you speak when we were coming over, traveling over, and you were speaking. You sound like you've got a very good eye and awareness for how a fight's going to go with um, the opponent, really. And you were saying that as a certain person, you know, that you just walk them down. There's a
Yeah.
way to go with it, but then when you get in ring, do you feel like there's something that just
Sometimes sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. I mean, it's typically said you get good days and bad days. Sometimes you know what you should be doing, you just can't pull the trigger maybe, or that's not even just with the skill demand or anything. It's just with like just fatigue in the week or something like that, and you might feel like your body's a little bit broken down and you haven't performed to your best ability. But it's all the little missing pieces. It's all the missing pieces for like a training camp, for example. It's all the missing pieces um, that can fall apart within that spar or them training sessions, whatever it may be. It sometimes doesn't matter per se. It's all what happens and what falls together on the night, and all the missing pieces that are put together on the night. Sometimes that's why I don't really, everyone gets good and bad days as boxers or athletes at that, and it's just what happens on the night. That's when it matters. I think sometimes you got to change the way of thinking sometimes and understand that training is generally training. You're training to also, train your mind to not get too beat up about, your bad days and all the rest of it. You're not just training the physical, you're training the mental as well. And over time, like we were talking about, it's just like the Truman Show. It's like it's repetitive, just same old stuff every day, and it can get a little bit mundane and all the rest of it. But I think that's what you've got to do to reach new levels is just keep repetitively doing the same things every single day.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's all the little things. It becomes an automatic habit, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like you just
100%.
like when I drive anywhere now, I struggle to think how I got there, or I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
even
yeah,
feel like I've
yeah,
drove there
yeah,
because
yeah,
your mind's already. When they say we're multi-dimensional beings, I know everyone who's driving to work is
yeah,
their mind's somewhere else.
yeah.
So,
I've had that been told to me before. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
well, it's wild. I would also, it's a question that I keep on asking people because I'm really interested. I know, like in East, they tend to, or like traditions maybe, in old cultures, there were like a rite of passage for men, for them to go from boy to man. So yeah, I just wanted to ask the question really of, because it's sort of been on my mind with where the rite of passage stems like in this society compared to like old cultures, like there were rite of passage like whether the I'm going back way back here, but they take them out to hunt or show them
Yeah.
different ways. And our society, if you've noticed, there's a lot of man boys. Like that's what I was. I don't think I started really growing up until 30 or
Yeah.
gone 30. You seem very, very much like one of my friends, Liam Chadwick. By the way, he's very grounded. And like there seems to be a lot of responsibility. I don't know. You seem to be there with your head. And where is it in society? Do you think there should be a rite of passage, or where do you think it is that we grow up? I know it's different for everyone, but I think just as we're growing in with this new conscious awareness, there should be some kind of milestone to not be having men acting like boys,
Yeah.
being so impulsive, and that's where wars come about. That's where
I think it's like understand. I think it's generally understanding yourself, understanding how you operate, um, but pulling back the layers of who you are, like who you've told yourself to be. Generally, being honest with yourself, you know, reveal the reveal your true self. Like some people walk through life, I think, every single day, tell themselves they're a certain individual, when deep down they know they're not. But they like to live with that as a sort of like a maybe defense mechanism or whatever it may be to get through life a little bit easier, or to to admit that like you maybe not doing the things that you should be doing and all the rest of it. I think like once you actually admit like who you are and all the rest of it, you can truly work on yourself. And once you actually truly work on yourself, I think it reveals itself, your calling and all the rest of it. Like it reveals itself, and that's when you're truly tested into finding out or not whether you are generally who you say you are. So like for me, like I think I'm a person who's misunderstood a lot of the times. I'm a person who you either like me or you don't. That's one thing I've realised. That's another thing is going through life is you'll soon realise once you understand yourself, once you understand other people, once you understand the world for how it is and how it operates and how it actually works, not through how society tells you it works, but how it truly works. You then realise like what it's all about, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
You
Well,
realise,
Fred, we were speaking with like truth. You're
yeah,
speaking your truth.
yeah,
You're gonna be less popular,
hundred
but
percent,
once you realise you're building a foundation on the person that you are, not on
yeah,
this fake.
yeah, 100%,
A lot of people live in that way, and then
yeah,
they've got fit and they wonder why people are backstabbing or gossiping
yeah,
or going behind the back. So,
yeah,
like, but they'd only do that to someone that they don't really care for, and they
yeah,
know that it's not authentic. But when you're being authentic,
yeah,
you've got the real ones that have navigated to
true,
you
yeah,
because
true,
they can feel it. They
yeah,
can feel that you're actually there and you
100%.
care. Um,
A lot of people measure, like, a lot of people go off the potential, they don't go off the substance. So, like, a lot of people might measure on a day-to-day basis that, and there's a good saying as well, don't focus on what you have done, focus on what you can do. A lot of people have a lot of attachments to maybe a certain area of their life where they've quote unquote been successful and they hold on to that. And, it's an area of your life that you should celebrate and all the rest of it. But you need to understand your true self, I think,
yeah.
and it takes time, I believe.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just find the correlation as well, like you were saying, really good bond with your dad and Liam. He had a very strong. So I'm guessing that maybe his beliefs and stuff were maybe and like way that he treats people maybe put onto you as well. You emanate that. Maybe
Um,
that's just me grasping there.
Assumption, yeah. For me, I actually think me and my dad are. I can't. How do I describe it? My dad. My dad's got an obsessive personality like me, or should I say, I've got an obsessive personality like my dad.
Don't matter which way you go.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But we have different beliefs. See, he don't believe in a higher power or anything like that. I don't believe in God, but he believe it's just out and gone when it's all over. And you can only respect people's opinions on all that. I think in this day and age, people enforce how they view the world onto other people, and that's why it causes a divide. But I think society is built that way naturally and
Yeah.
purposely done that way to cause divide. But But yeah, anyways, me and my dad, we believe in different things, but in terms of like uh, work ethic in certain areas, like we have an obsessive personality. Yeah.
And felt like did they were teaching you right and wrong from an early age as well?
Right and wrong. It were weird because I don't know how you can describe your relationship with your dad, but my relationship with my dad growing up was all sports. If I'm honest with you, like
Yeah.
that's how we connected, and I think like every sort of like son and father, like they connect through one area, the most compared to other areas.
Yeah.
And the other areas is just like it's just day to day living, and you just sort of like cracking on. It's just sort of
Submissive,
like
yeah.
replay. It's just constant in it. But me and my dad connected through the gym and rugby.
Yeah,
Um, and I think the natural curve, the natural pivot when you grow up is once you sort of like become your own individual and you've grown into the world, you've grown into a man and whatever else. I think the natural curve is you do lose that connection a little bit. I do think that happens, and I think that's how it's supposed to be in a way as well.
yeah.
So that's sort of how it's been. Me and my dad still get along and all the rest of it, but
Yeah.
the connection's just not as
I get it. I feel it, mate.
yeah.
Same.
It's just not. It's just
They
not
don't,
the
you feel
same.
misunderstood.
Yeah, misunderstood, and also like I was saying, earlier, which I get, and I probably will sort of similarly be the same when I have my own kids. Is you know they are it's your duty in it as a parent, I imagine, to put your life before theirs is in your kids. So you're bringing them through the world. You're cutting the cloth, if you will, to bring them into the world to start with, and then once they have their own brains on the shoulders of what they've developed, at least it's that's where you as a parent can feel like maybe they're going against you, what you've taught them, don't respect you, and all the rest of it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's different for everyone in it, but I feel like that's just the unfortunate natural curve,
Yeah.
I believe.
Well, the way I tried to think of it recently as well, it's like we give us children to these government. I mean, my son goes. I can see the good and bad. He goes
Yeah.
to school, and we've most families of both parents work, so they're not really raising the kid. It's the government that's raising them. So as they've raised them, and they've raised them with these set of beliefs, and you are the beliefs that you've been taught, and that's your world because that's
Yeah.
what's been laid out, and your parents have sent you to a place that you in an institute that you
Yeah.
are supposed to. Now that there's other ways of looking at the world through the internet, through teachings that we wouldn't have had because we only had that to go off as. When your children are getting to 16 and they're starting to see, like we've seen other ways of living,
Yeah.
and we try and explain it to them,
Yeah.
they're so rigid.
Yeah.
And it's rigid because once the mind gets over 30, it's very hard to reprogram it back.
Oh, no, 100%.
So, but once like you look at these institutes that they're teaching them, it's going against the grain. And once you get to that age as well, they don't have nothing in common with the parents either, do they? Because they haven't brought them up essentially.
And like you're saying, Ben, about the institutes now are completely different as well. Like, if you look at how a school is generally like built now, they're all caged off. They're all caged off. So it's like they're like prisons almost, schools nowadays. And just look at the development of it and how they're built and how little systems within the school, within the educational system, like how they operate now. It's specifically designed to enslave and
Indoctrinate,
so much more,
because
like,
it puts the cages of limiting beliefs on them.
100%. And listen, even for me, like I've got a ways to go, me, with what I want out of my life. But I just knew from a very I feel like I knew from a very young age that school teaches you how to get a job. It doesn't teach you how to make money. And I think even more so now, we how schools are built and within the school, even more so. Like it's really so much more tying them in.
It suppresses creativity.
Yeah, 100%.
Here at Disciples of Truth, we're proud to partner up with Charlie's Apothecary. Charlie's got some cracking products. I mean cracking. And to start off with, it'd be cordyceps, and it's the first product I actually tried at Charlie's. It's a dual extraction, and cordyceps is renowned for natural energy booster, helps fight diseases, and it's great for sex drive for those that care to wish, and, and you can wish. But no, on a serious note, I don't like, well, if you're going to the gym, if you've got low energy, I don't like the pre-workouts. This is great with a few drops of water, swig it down, swirl it around your mouth, and off you go, and it can be aided throughout the day. And then the next product we've got is my personal favourite, is the fall blended salts. Salts gets a really bad rap through propaganda and doctors saying that we overuse it, when it's not true at all. To get the best salts in is one of the most natural ways of getting all the essential minerals into your body flow, so I'd give it a go. And it has Salinas del Carmen salt that originates from the Canary Islands, Fuerteventura if you really want to know. It's one of the highest grades that you can have, and then it's got another three blends to go with. And the next product we've got, it really doesn't need an introduction, it's Shilajit. You must see it everywhere. It's got 85 trace minerals, and it's good for energy, mental health and clarity. And this is sourced from the Himalayan mountains, and I've tried many different brands of Shilajit, and I'd put this at the top of the ladder, and it's really nice packaging as well. And then last but not least is the oregano. It's the triple extraction. This is good for boost immunity, gut health, lowers cholesterol, fights inflammation, it aids weight loss, and I've just personally used this. The house got, some of us family members got sick, and it kept it off, and I haven't managed to get sick through it. Same again, put in water, swirl around the mouth. Brilliant products. What you also get from these products is it's handcrafted. He puts a lot of time and effort in with his team. It's UK only at the moment until it expands more. So it's only UK only, postage and packaging. What Charlie also does is he grows his own mushrooms. So we know that they're tried, tested, and they're also for freshness. So hit the link in the bio and go check out Charlie's new website. So all his range of products is on there, and there's something for everyone. So yeah, go check it out, guys. So also, what's the best advice you've ever received that's really helped you in some dark times on your journey?
Yeah, it's dark times. Oh, that's a tricky one, that. I think it just comes down to like it boils down to like depends what sort of depends what difficult times. I mean, it's how you interpret. It's not what happens to you. It's how you interpret what happens to you. I'm a big believer in that. So I feel like for me, it's just the best advice. And it's quite simple, really. It's just keep plodding along, because life doesn't stop for no man. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, keep plodding along, and always try to search. Like we were talking about before, like you know the difference between good and bad. So always search to do good as opposed to bad, and don't try to swindle, beat around the bush, or whatever it may be, and the answer will come knocking, and I think it'll lead to a better outcome through that dark time.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Do you think then, swinging back to boxing again, do you think it'd be good for them to start putting it back in schools at a school level? For
I think I'd say I think more good than bad, but I can see the bad in it as well. But I feel like we were speaking about before, with how the educational system's set up and all the rest of it, I think it'll do more good, like I say, than bad. I feel like it'll teach kids the basics such as discipline and all that stuff, and respect as well, because I feel like in this day and age, to bluntly put it, I think a lot of kids are just too brash, too cocky, and they're not paying for, like, you know, like you see kids, even just things like online and stuff, they're not you shouldn't be able to walk through life and do these things without finding out the hard way.
Yeah, repercussions,
you know what I mean? So I feel like that'll also, you see it all the time, don't you? Like you see someone have a fight, even at top level, like you see the trash talking, and after the fight, it's all gone because it's settled the right way, how men do it, and that's have a fight. I'm not saying to resolve things always by having a fight, but it brings the truth to the surface. Does a fight?
Yeah.
and it settles everything. I don't think you should fight for no reason, but I think
No.
what it'll do, the good in what boxing will do, bringing it in schools is um, make people hard workers, teach them discipline, teach them respect, teach them to work for things, and all the rest of it.
Yeah. So as you were saying that as well, I think society's it's like a lot of yapping little dogs.
Yeah, hundred
Like
percent,
because they
hundred
haven't
percent.
had that bite and they haven't.
Yeah,
But when, like you say, once it's ironed out and dust has settled, you've got who's come away
yeah,
better.
yeah.
But also there's that mutual respect of like, I don't want to get punched in the face again
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
of
other
course.
one.
Well, yeah,
And
that's
then
it. And then
there's
you go
like,
through life, and then you walk through life a little bit differently. Like even me now, like um, as a boxer and stuff, like certain situations, like my confidence is never lowered, but boxing humbles you when it comes to everyday life. It's the only thing that's really humbled me. Like just with everything, it's not even just the sport alone for me. Like it's the stuff around the sport that's humbled me. Um, I've been in, I've been in weight. I've done heavy weight cuts for one of my fights. It puts life into perspective. It's like sounds dramatic because people don't see what goes into the sport, but it's life or death. A lot of things, and it makes you realize like it just generally humbles you, like we were speaking about before, about people walking around and waffling on and being cocky and all the rest of it. And it's like they haven't been through testing times and all the rest of it to understand like you can't go around doing stuff like that. You just can't do it.
no.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it needs. But if you have a look at how society is now, and it's got a lot of weak people within it, and what does any author or anyone with authority who wants control, they need the people to be weak.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
they can implement
yeah.
weakness,
Weakness, 100%.
I don't like this at the moment. Everyone gets a trophy. Everyone gets this. It's like no, if you've excelled, like if you've really worked at your craft,
Yeah,
you should be acknowledged. Yeah, but when
100%.
everyone's just getting acknowledged for it,
Yeah, it's making people. We live in a society that I think now where it's like accept everyone and which yeah accept everyone and all the rest, but it's almost like people who work hard, like bluntly put, people who work harder than others, um, should be rewarded. It's as simple as that. Like you get you get out what you put in this life, in my opinion. And I just think, like you were saying, the trophies and all the rest of it, participation trophies and all the rest of it, like it's giving people a false sense of it's not real, is it? Let's be honest. Like
yeah.
it's not participate, congratulate yourself, yeah, well done, and all the rest of it. Um, I just don't believe in it per
Yeah.
se. I don't believe in it.
How far do you think you can go in boxing?
For me, I'd like to. For me, I generally would like. I mean, anyone will say this as a boxer. You'd like to go all the way. Um, for me, I'd like to win a British title. To be honest with
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
I would love to win a British title outright. Um, but for me, like I've always said this right off the bat, like for me, it's bigger than boxing. Like, and I know people like on the surface of society, if you will, might listen to me say that and think, well, what's bigger than boxing, like, and all the rest of it. But to me, like, it's about like listening to God's calling. Like, what I'm here to do is it will reveal itself over time. I'm boxing right now, and that's what I feel I'm here to do. But with that, like, you look at any sort of top boxer of past and present, the message in itself, like Muhammad Ali, like the messaging. I'm not saying I want to be like Muhammad Ali, by the way, or I'm going to even get close to that. But what I'm trying to say is Muhammad Ali, he was bigger than boxing, and what he did is he influenced people to do good, and it was just bigger than boxing. I can't explain it, but I just want to um, spread the right messages and be of um, I won't use the word influence. We talked about that
Yeah.
10 minutes ago.
I know, I just say it, I thought, I'm not going to pull him up, he'll do it himself.
I don't like the word influence. I've said this before, but I just want to pull people in the right direction,
Inspire.
and inspire people 100% with. And I believe I'd like to think I've already inspired people and stuff like that with my weight loss journey and all the rest of it to turn the life around. Because I were in a dark spot at one point in my life, And all it is now is channeling it through boxing. And the second stage now for me. So I've lost the weight. Now I'm in boxing. Let's see what I can do with boxing. Roll the dice and see where I end up. But for
Yeah.
me, like it is bigger than boxing. I'll be honest. For me,
With it having some big characters in boxing, and it's got to be to put bums on seats and the rest of it. There's just one that's stuck out for me. Just come across my mind as we've got Tyson Fury, and then we've also he says Jesus' name a lot, but he says what for me I find it a bit of a hypocrite in some areas of money don't mean anything, and then the next minute he is. Do you think that he is walking with Christ, or do you think he's just catching the attention and he's got some kind of lost his way a bit? What's your take on it? If you mind, if you don't want to answer it, that's fine.
I'll only speak about somebody else when there's substance involved.
Yeah, yeah,
I won't make assumptions based on blanks. So
Yeah, yeah.
what I will do is I'll say this. All due respect to Tyson Fury and all the rest of it, you know, I'm in the boxing world,
yeah,
and all the rest of it. So for me, I see what I see is what I see, and I speak on what I see, and what that comes across to me as the truth. So I'll speak on that.
Yeah.
And truth to me is this: is if you look at his ring walk versus Vladimir Klitschko, I won't go into detail about what it actually is, but I mean, listen to the song, listen to the Bible. Sorry, don't listen to the Bible. Look at the Bible verse on his robe, and then just look at his ring walk versus Wilder in number 2 or 3, and just look at that ring walk, and I think it speaks for itself. What's happened, and anyone who knows anything about how, I won't say how the world works, but how that end of things works, you'll understand what's happened there.
I'll definitely be checking that out.
Yeah,
I'll definitely be
yeah.
checking that out.
You know, I'm not acting like a genius when I say that either, but again, I go off substance. I don't make things up. I see what I see and I speak on it, and that's just my belief. Do I believe it's up to any man to go down whatever route they want to go down? Absolutely. Doesn't mean I agree with it, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that, but I will just say that that's what I've picked up on. I do a lot of research. I do more research within what I'm involved in, which is boxing, more than so like the surface sort of research, if you will, is look at studying a fighter and all the rest. I try to dig and study how it operates, how the world of boxing operates, along with the world in itself, and all the rest of it. And I think you discover and find out what boxing's more about, doing things like that rather than the surface of things. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no. I appreciate your answer.
100%, yeah.
No, I like that. Another one you don't have to answer. This is just out of curiosity because it's something as I've got more into spirituality and realizing powers and energies and the rest of it, and I heard other boxers talk of it, is semen retention. To call like I know because it wasn't called semen retention. It was just saying we don't have sex like 30 days
whatever,
because it harnesses it. And the more I've looked into it and what Taoism says of holding your chi energy,
Yeah.
and I were playing about with it the other year, and I realised how much more consciously aware you are, the power that you do have in training sessions, and then opposed to when you've released it. I noticed a lot.
You noticed a positive,
Yes, but I also found like when you have released,
mental and physical, or both?
I'd say both.
Both.
I'd say very powerfully both.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say that's why porn's free.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they say like the people who ejaculate far more than others, you'll see the aging happen quite frequently, and it's because it is your life force.
Of course it is, yeah.
I just wanted to know if you've delved into any teachings of it or your understanding of it. Sorry.
So I've never even spoke on this, but I we were speaking about before, like how I went to church when I was younger and stuff like that. Church is something that I've sort of been in and away from, but I've always sort of gone to church and stuff like that off my own back. And I got with an individual at the time, who was my partner, obviously, and as a couple at the time, we decided to go celibate. And I went celibate for 9 months. We were living together, and we did 9 months straight, sleeping in the same bed. And I think I'm not going to be cocky when I say this, but I think it'd be very difficult for people to do that in this day and age, sleeping outside of your partner, and basically not getting it on for 9 months straight. And we did that because we wanted to live in accordance to God and the Word and the Bible and stuff like that, and see what we're all about. And again, you try things in life, don't you? That for the good, like I was speaking about before, you do aim to do good, and it were a positive thing at the time. But one thing I noticed for me, I won't say from a performance standpoint, but from a spiritual perspective, is initially to start with, like I'm a man. Do you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we're full of testosterone, and you get your days where you've got a partner and you want to do your thing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That's the best way of putting it. And so I think what it did to me is it did more so like it built my character like over time to understand that like in this day and age you can't have weak flesh, and you've got to like build that strength within you to not just do it because you want to do it for the sake of it. It's got to be like it goes back to the whole thing of what a soulmate is, or a connection is, and what life's about, and why it's actually put in place in the first place. Like forget porn's trash and all the rest of it. Like we're here to make genuine connections and love making.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, definitely, man. Definitely. It was just, it was something.
But yeah, to answer your question, sorry, to answer your kind of waffle on me.
No, you're fine.
To answer your question, yeah, I haven't ever done it like before fights, like gone celibate and stuff like that. I've just, I've had a partner and we do things when we do things. You know what I mean? That's the best way of putting it. But I've never consciously made a choice whilst I've had my boxing career.
Yeah, just for that. To harness that energy.
Yeah. But it's been nice having a sex counselling session with you.
I know, he's like,
do you know what I mean? It's been lovely. £25 an hour.
Didn't expect it. No, it's just something that I thought when you're looking at the highest of the high in that industry, like you're talking Mike Tyson, probably one of, well, you've got Ali and then you've got Tyson, haven't you, in the same bracket. And when you're hearing the delving into that, and I've listened to a couple of podcasts where they've talked about it, and you're like, there's something behind it, and if you're reaching them goals, it's a virtue to overcome as well, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
I mean, like for me, mine were gluttony, definitely. That were my.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It still has been time to time.
Yeah.
But what I've realised recently, it's an emotional. It's when things are getting a little bit hard, I'll go and eat. I didn't realise it when I was just shaming myself for overeating. It's because there's underlying emotional things going on that I'm not dealing with, and it's just.
But these are textbook things that I think we have to. When you actually work out, like this is the textbook things that we have to like try and overcome on a day-to-day basis. Like you think why do people work a 9 to 5 every day and go out on a weekend and drink alcohol every weekend? Why are they doing it? And then why are they going out on weekends and sniffing cocaine? Again, why are they doing it? Why are guys every night after work switching on, watching porn? It's like these are the things, I think, the basic things that you need to like conquer to not fall weak to, because I think these are the things that make you less of a man, and they make you weak, and they'll eventually make you fall.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, even gluttony, like it says it in the Bible, like gluttony, it'll take you down the rabbit hole. Like even me, I was eating 10,000 calories a day, and part of it was due to mourning over the sadness of rugby not working out for me. It wasn't just a chosen thing. I actually had the conversation with myself the other day saying, could I eat 10,000 calories a day as consistent as I did for that amount of time? And the probably answer is no.
Yeah.
Because I'd stopped before it started to feel disgusting like it did. But back then, because of the sadness and all the rest of it, I could break past that barrier and keep it going, because internally, deep down, I was trying to fill a void. I think that's what most people do. They're trying to fill a void with everything that they do. Nightclubs, sex, cheating, all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's escapism.
It's escapism.
And this is where I'm at now. Like, I'd like to be a part of the Earth schools or however it's going to come about to teach children emotionally regulating their emotions because
Yeah,
if you have a look at these patterns, that's where they're all stemming from.
yeah,
Because we didn't know how to act with them as children,
yeah,
and once they become consciously aware of how to do it, like maybe have something bad happen to them, like go, all right, well, you go to a boxing club and you get that anger out and channel it in a way that you can use it and harness it.
yeah.
Um, I don't know for yourself if you get angry, is it a really good release, a way to do it, or is that something that you don't consciously do? It's just
What get?
if you were to go, like, say, if you were angry, a bit mad at something, do you intentionally go to the gym and then hit the punch bag for a?
At one particular time in my life, I did. Yeah. I've come to discover now that I think people do that when like life goes bad or whatever, like a certain situation in your life goes bad, and then you're getting almost tormented and angry about it. It's like, why is my life going bad? And then you can maybe create a victim mentality off the back of it, and then you need some sort of outlet and whatever the rest. But now I'm at peace with it because I understand that it's part of life and there's no good without bad and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I actually go the opposite way for me now. Like if I ever go, where I need an outlet, I go within myself and I become nonchalant in a way, and I like myself to myself, and um, I like looking into things, and just I'll just sit somewhere and just listen to some good. I won't call it music. I call it frequencies because that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
People might think you're a bit mad, but I'll go to sit somewhere, put some headphones in, and listen to some flute music, some Indian flute
Yeah,
music or
mate.
something, because it's not. I'm not listening to Indian flute music. I'm listening to the frequencies of how it makes me feel. And that's what music is, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all it is for me. So that's what I like to do. You know what I mean? I like to
Yeah, yeah.
listen to different sort of frequencies, like that's just
Yeah,
how
there's
I
not
do
wrong with
things.
that, mate.
Yeah,
At least you've found something that brings you peace.
yeah, hundred
Because a
percent.
lot of people won't even delve into that because everyone thinks I'm weird, but won't even
Yeah,
try it behind the closed
yeah,
doors.
yeah. It's typically what people do, though, isn't it? Like if they feel sad, they listen to sad music. If they feel angry, they need to go do angry things. It's like you can't. I mean, I don't know. You can't always fuse off how you feel. I choose to find a different way of dealing with it, if you know what I mean.
I think it's a lot of people are scared of the unknown, and we're taught as a society not to take risks. Like you were
Yeah,
saying earlier, it's like they don't teach you entrepreneurship because they don't want that.
yeah,
Because it means that you're being creative and stepping outside of the box.
of course.
They teach you like risks is wrong. I know my friend's little boy at school. He's like really, really intelligent,
Yeah,
but he's more scared of getting one thing wrong. And he's like, he's got his dad's always got to reassure him like,
yeah,
you top marks, like you
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
went,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you're gonna. He's like, you're gonna get. Sometimes
Yeah,
you're gonna get a low mark, and
yeah,
even if you do, look at all.
yeah,
Like I was saying earlier, when I focus on if I've cocked up. Like earlier, I had a cigarette.
yeah,
I don't know I've done it, but
yeah,
I've done everything else right,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm a work in
yeah,
progress,
yeah,
and I'm not so hard on myself.
yeah,
But they're taught these some society is that a loss is going to make everyone else laugh at you, or going out and
yeah,
being like I know even when you're saying you're going a bit inside yourself when you say I like flute music and
yeah, yeah,
you like you. Because there's that element you can see that you're closing up to the element of judgment. It's like, yeah, but if you're happy, it shouldn't. It don't matter a toss.
exactly.
They're not
Yeah.
living in your. They're not living in your head.
They're not. They're not. And like we were talking about on the way here, it's like um, when you just said that living in your head, it's like everybody every single day talk to themselves.
We're always talking to each other, to ourselves in our
Yeah.
heads, and we pass it off as
Like when you don't, it's like think about it. Like when you're deep, like you talk to yourself every day, and I think I would just we were just delving into like um, I can't remember if we were talking about the music we were listening
yeah,
to or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. The things
We
that bring
said
you
the
peace.
frequencies and then how it makes the spirit feel and all the rest of it. So people will look at that and they might think, well, why is this that sort of music or whatever? But it's not the music in itself; it's the frequency in it. You know what I mean? It's how it makes us feel internally. So I think you know people should sort of embrace it and welcome themselves to that sort of stuff because like we were saying, you talk to yourself every day. And there's a reason for that. In my opinion, you talk to yourself. You give yourself answers from time to time, the truth, and then you want to hide from the truth or whatever it may be. But yeah, I think we need to just embrace it a little bit more and just delve past things that are not just on the surface.
Yeah,
You know.
definitely. Do you think then, just as you're saying that, it's like we say that it all comes from inner, and
Yeah.
then we're wrestling with flesh, then, aren't we? Or what we look like on the outside, and what
Yeah.
also we think that other people think of us on the outside. So it's not that internal battle could be with the outer to the inner.
How do you mean? How do you
Like
mean?
your inner soul, like
Yeah.
your soul knows what music feels good.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
even
yeah.
if it, the people always say like when you're into something that most people aren't into, you go, oh, I like this, but it might be a bit weird, and like
Yeah.
you already
Yeah,
shut
I
up
think
about it because you're like,
yeah.
oh, they might judge. So you've got to kind of protect yourself
Yeah.
before, because
Yeah.
I guess we as selves maybe think if someone else said something
Yeah.
along the lines of it being,
Yeah, I think it's like we go on like so like you typically think that you're like a certain sort of person if you're a stereotype and will listen to this sort of music or listen to that sort of music. And when you strip all that away and you don't fall into those like societal brackets, if you will, strip that all away and start listening to the stuff that like feeds you, makes you feel good and all the rest of it, you realise that you can be on paper, stereotype wise, you can look like this sort of person, but listen to this sort of music, and I think that's what's most important rather than falling into the brackets that society puts in place for us to fall into without even questioning it. Do you know what I'm trying to
yeah, no,
say?
definitely.
So I think we should embrace that a little bit more and do what feels right with us, spirit and within us.
Yeah, well, like even you look at music charts. Not that I've looked at one in a while, but you do hear the certain songs coming over the radio. It's like they idolize like drinking and stuff. Like
Well,
drink
yeah,
another sort of whiskey, and it's repeated, and it
yeah.
becomes a mantra, and it becomes an affirmation. And
Well, I forgot the name of the artist, but there's a song like "Live Fast and Die Young." I'm gonna sing then. I'm not gonna,
I
so
thought we
you
were
know
getting a
what I'm
full
understanding.
performance.
But yeah, we're gonna die young. That song, whatever it is. And then there's other songs in there, just the titles, and it's just like "Young, Dumb and Broke" or something like that. And there's all
Anxiety.
sorts of and if you, I mean, it's up to people. It's up to people what they want to believe, but they're put in place on purpose. Out there, they're
Yeah.
designed a certain way. You're not gonna get modern day gospel music through to Capitol. Let's be
Have
honest.
you started it? Listen, have you listened to Forrest Frank?
No, I haven't. No.
Forrest Frank's like
Yeah.
Bible music, but
Yeah.
he's quite good, honestly.
Uh,
But there's a big movement in
is
America
there?
with it. Like he sells out massive
Is
concerts,
there?
and it's positive music.
Yeah.
I don't like. I'm not gonna say that I like every song he's done, but I need to send you loads of stuff
Yeah,
after
I
this
do. Yeah.
conversation.
I listen to
today.
like generic stuff like Hill songs and is it Hill songs and sort of like worship music, if you
Yeah.
will, and
Well, country music's having a big comeback because it's telling a story and
yeah,
it takes you through stuff where you can
yeah.
self-reflect rather than.
I like a little bit of country music.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
put one on my Instagram the other day. So it's a
I
good
think the
song.
best songs are stories that are told,
Yeah,
and there's something to take away rather than. I think that's why so much music, like dance music. I'm not saying all dance music's bad, but like when it's got the same phrase over and over again, it's just monotonous. It's like boring.
well, that's what this is all is, though, isn't it? Everything's a story in it when you actually think about it. Like, music's a story. A movie's a story. It's everything's a story in it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's self-expression, isn't it?
yeah,
It's an
and
expression
that's
of the
what
energy that you're feeling.
yeah, of course. But you can't be influenced off. There's good and bad stories, isn't there? And
Yeah.
that's why the purpose to mix it in place. But there's like you were saying about like guns, alcohol, and all that. That's typically what's in rap music, and it's purposely done, isn't it? But
The same people on the prisons are the same people that
yeah,
own the record labels. I think I've seen Ice Cube saying, like,
yeah, of
you
course,
can't work out what's going on.
yeah, yeah, of course,
It's
yeah, of
just
course, man.
repetition, and they know the outcome of
Yeah,
your program. It's a program,
yeah, yeah,
and people don't like to believe that. I was trying to think of this the other day. It's like people are like, oh no, it's harmless. I'm like, okay, so why? Just going off NFL, when they got them quarter times advertisements, why are they like 4 billion to have an advertisement on in that time if it doesn't control the mind?
Hmm.
They won't be spending money.
Madness,
It's
really.
just over the top of your head.
Yeah.
I think going back to it's been not being a influencer but being an inspirer. What do you think you can bring with yourself to the boxing scene, and just day to day life really? How can you
Well, like,
inspire? Or
for me, it's like when I use the word inspire, it's not that I'm like unauthentically trying to inspire by trying to purposely put myself through trials and tribulations. I just think I have a story that can inspire. I haven't purposely lived through that by purposely putting on 10 stone, by purposely somehow having the power to put my dad in an ICU unit in a hospital and fighting for his life. This is substance in my life that I feel can help people in a positive way. This isn't me pretending. I simply have a story that I feel like can inspire a lot of people, and the reason why I feel like it can inspire a lot of people is because I think there's a lot of people out there who do go through these things. I'm not one of a kind. Many people who have gone through exactly what I've gone through. They might not have lost 10 stone, but they might have lost 5 stone. They might have not powerlifted to the level of strength I did, but they might have got to a certain different level of strength. You know what I mean? So they can relate in some sort of way with my story, I believe, and I think I can inspire people by simply helping them turn their lives around because I've shown them that I can. And it's pretty much as simple as that, really. And I think there's always boundaries that you can push once you overcome these things. And I feel it's just important that if you've got a story that you feel can inspire people, then it's no good keeping it in.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And everyone's story is the biggest to them. And this is why I don't like about the modern day when people will do this whole thing of like comparing problems to other people's problems, like they shouldn't be suffering because I've gone through worse. It's like everyone's problems is the biggest to them. And if you can sort of like pivot that and tell a story off the back of it that's going to help them actually speak out about, these problems and inspire people off the back of it, then they should do it.
yeah, it makes it relatable for
Yeah,
people, doesn't it?
100%. I think people jump on the back of, or they don't jump on the back of. They naturally just end up there through authenticity of someone's trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's something that I want to draw back off social media and not watch other people, because I think I was talking about it with Daz at work is we unknowingly start to act and soak up the environment and what we see. So
Yeah.
sometimes we emanate it and we don't mean to take it on, and then you kind of lose yourself within
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I think for me personally, I want to draw back and really peel back the layers of. I know that there's a great soul in there, and I know that I'm led with purpose, but I really want to start to bring it to the
Yeah.
to the top of who I am. Not like I think I take a lot of pieces. I take the best parts of people and try and
Yeah.
put together this what I like. I mean, I guess that's what you are doing, but you also want to uncover
Yeah.
what's
But,
underneath,
but
really.
also, yeah, exactly that. Also, what this is for me is about. It's about going through life and understanding that at the end of it, I know that I've done something positive, man. Like I've done something that's not for ego purposes, but I've done something that like once I have children and stuff, they can look back on and pick up. Like we're talking about breaking the generational curse, it's like they can pick up on it and take some of my I don't know attributes and good things that I've done and put that into their own character and end of the day, like the world we live in is mad, right? So like if I can push it onto other people to be, a good character within themselves and do good, it's gonna make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day.
Well, that's what I think. That's what I've started my journey is. I just want to leave the world in a better place now.
Better place, yeah.
Because we can see all the pain, suffering, and things that are just totally
Yeah.
They are avoidable. You know,
Yeah.
like, and I'm sick of that. Oh, the saying of it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it is what it is until it's not. Like, and
It is what it is until it ends.
and with this awareness that is coming about, it's not just me and you gifted with it. There's a massive wave of people. So it's now starting to go. Which way are you going to go? Are you going to go with the ones that you're going to make the choices so you fit in, don't look silly, or you're going to go with your soul and do the things that you know that's right. I think we all know, everyone knows what's right and wrong.
Everyone knows what's right, and everyone knows what's right. Everyone knows what they want to do. But it's the typical textbook saying, in it, you know, people can't think outside of the societal structures of the things that hold us together, jobs, all these external things that hold us together, that stop us from really tapping into what we really want for ourselves.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
definitely, man. Definitely. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave with the guest? It's been. We are going to apologise for this one. It's been a long one, hasn't it, mate? Not for
It's starved me for about 12 hours. I've been in here for 12 hours. You tried tying me up 10 minutes ago.
No one's going to believe that, mate.
No.
Is there anything that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, I'd like to go home. I'm only joking, but I would like to just finish on this. I will say that very soon I will be starting a 5K run. It will be something that's organised by myself. It's just a little, again, we were speaking about making the world a better place. It's just about setting up a 5K run every Saturday, which will be at Pugneys in Wakefield. I'm in talks with a few people and possibly a campaign group that's going to help push me into helping people, see this and to make people, come out their own comfort zone and stuff like that. And just better their lives, whether that be losing weight and all the rest of it. Like we were speaking about on this podcast, really, I just want to, push the envelope a little bit, help people out. I was once one of them people who, simply just wanted to change. And I know some people out there do want to change still, but they just need that push, if you will, or that wake-up call. So hopefully this might help, a few people, or if not more. So there's a 5K running club opening very soon, which will be run by myself and the help of other people. So jump on board and drop me a message if you're interested, guys.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to take you down to come outside and lead.
Yeah.
That's what they do. We went the other week, and it'd be good for you to see how their dynamics work. So it's the same idea, and you get to see it, mate. Don't you?
It's just a thing for me. Like I've run my last training session of the week is a run. So I just get people jumping on board with it, really, and help people out.
It's great, mate. It's great.
Yeah, just help people out, build a little positive community off the back.
Yeah, man. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. Thank you very much.